Hey, hey, hey. Well. I am not surprised. So, the Marvel, I'm using CNBC, don't much care for what they say. The Marvels is probably headed for one of the worst MCU's office openings ever. Who's surprised? Anyone? Anybody? Anyone? Surprised? So, key points. Initial predictions saw the Marvels opening to between 75 million and 80 million domestically, but those figures have shrunk to ranges between 60 and 65 million in recent weeks. The only MCU film that has opened lower than 60 million have been 2015's Ant-Man and 2008's Incredible Hulk. How much did it take to make the movie? Well, they'll probably get into that. Disney and the Marvels have struggled to reconnect with the audience in the post-Endgame era. Yeah, that's just the point. Like, up until Endgame, Marvel movies were doing okay. People were consuming the products. But after that, they went on this weird turn that I would call the out with the old, in with the new. And they try to pretty much reinvigorate and remake their whole branding of Disney. So again, on the big screens, you would see you'd see like Ant Man, you'd see Iron Man, you see the Incredible Hulk. But then, say if you go to the comic book, you wouldn't see any of them. You'd see instead of Thor, you'd see like the female version of Thor, whoever she's supposed to be, or instead of Iron Man, you'll see Iron Heart. And these aren't bad concepts. It's just people know why they're doing this. They're trying to again, Marvel claims to be a very woke, very diverse company, but they don't actually know how to put out a product that people genuinely want to see. And you can see this reflected in this movie. You can see it reflected in the newest Doctor Who movie. Like, they just don't care to reconnect with the fan base. Like, I'm surprised anyone's a Marvel fan, but they're probably liking what Marvel used to be over what it is right now. Same thing with like Star Wars and other companies. It's like people are just moving to like anime. Like, I go out and I see kids in My Hero Academia shirts, right? I see people wearing Naruto. They're wearing shirts and memorabilia of anime. You don't see them in like a Batman or like a Superman or like an Iron Man or Captain America shirts. And again, it's the biggest. Feeding into the larger problem that apparently Western entertainment doesn't just is fucking failing. And because of this, they're gonna fire a lot of people. And I get the writer's strike is over, but the results of that has yet to be shown. It was always going to be tough to top Avengers Endgame. Yeah, I mean, again, after this period, people just lost interest. Like, what the fuck is this? But what it spelled out from Disney and Marvel Studios, I think didn't they? Yeah, it's Disney and Marvel, so they had a cooperation to make cooperation in this movie. The Marvel Studios, in the wake of the epic, has left fans discouraged about the franchise. There was hope that the Marvels, which arrived in theaters Friday, might build on the box office success of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Who the fuck said that? Was it the PR? I don't even think companies even have PR anymore. That's such an old idea. And right nowadays, companies care for people on Twitter that just, well, we call them keyboard warriors when I grew up. So they don't actually bring value to the conversation. It's like their a switch flips in their mind and they see something on the internet going against, say, a Disney or Marvel product, and they immediately attack that person. And these are the same people that also go after anime and and harass Japanese artists. And again, these people claim to be tolerant, but when it comes to apparently anime, they are some of the most intolerant people you've ever seen in your entire life. So, I mean, again, I don't know who said this. Was it the journalist that said that? I don't know. I need to get just. I'm off that. But there's a strong chance it could have one of the lowest opening weekends in history of Marvel Cinematic Universe. Not surprised. Initial production saw the film opening at between. I already read all that. Fuck. Lower than 60 million have been 2000. I already read that. Disney's beefed up cost cutting plan by $2 billion. Beefs up cost cutting plan. So they're. I'm gonna tell you what this will look like. They're gonna fire people. The products are gonna be shittier. They apparently are gonna go for investment money. Like, I don't care for the investor money, right? I don't care for Vanguard or BlackRock or any of those ESG investment firms, right? The problem is amongst the consumers, the people who buy their product. People are just not wasting their time with consuming their product. That's the problem, right? The Marvel track record at the box office is virtually unrivaled in terms of the depth and breadth of the titles. Breadth of the titles and staggering numbers of records broken. Fan appreciation and sheer revenue generation power over the decade. Yeah, maybe in like 2010. Like, what is ComScore? Is it Paul Durgu? I don't know who the fuck that is. Unfortunately, countless spin-offs, sequels and universes in big both screen and small iterations, and at the time, unclear marketing messages. There's nothing unclear about the marketing message. Like, have you been under a rock for the past 5 years? The message is clear, right? Nowadays, to be a racist, to be a sexist, to be all these labels that they want to throw at you, you just have to not like a Disney or a Marvel product. That's the problem. Like, that's their marketing message. The marketing message is to piss off the consumers because it had clicks and to hire actors and actresses that do just that. Instead of just shutting the hell up and taking our money, they pull a Rachel Ziegler. Or they pull a fucking... I say these names all the time. A Peter Dinklage. Like, they're the greatest examples. Or who's the actress that plays Miss Marvel? Like, she did the exact same thing. So the message is clear. Why I don't understand why you're misleading people. Like, people understand what the message is. Has resulted in mixed critical and fan reactions, and thus resulted in disappointing box office results for some of Marvel's recent biggest screen offerings, he added. Like, again, I don't people get what the fucking message is. They do not care about the consumer. They do not care about putting out a product that people want to see. Like, they're directionless. There is no direction. There was no direction in this movie. And my thing is, the villains are terrible. Like, to me, the essence of a superhero movie is the hero versus the villain. And it's the villain that carries the movie, because it's the villain challenges the hero, because obviously the hero's going to do what they do. They're going to save the day. or not, depending on how you want to take the story. I mean, I believe most comics post, the Christian trying to censorship. Like most comics had pretty dark stories and pretty dark conclusions. So I think that'd be a decent movie. Like that's why people watch anime or, you know, and watch other things is because they don't just want to see the hero winning all the time. Like that gets boring. But the problem with most Marvel movies, I'd even extend this to DC movies, the villains suck. Like, okay, the one of the best villains was Joker, and people watched Batman and because of Joker. Same thing with who's the name of that villain in Superman? I can't, whatever. But that's my point. People like the villains because the villains can do whatever the fuck they want. Like that, they can go to any lengths to um, test the hero's character. While the hero, again, they're just gonna, save the day like they always do. That's why Thanos was such a good villain. How far down did I go? For one, Endgames marked the culmination of nearly a decade of interconnected storytelling and overperformed expectations. What does that mean? Decades of interconnected storytelling and overperformed expectations. It wrapped up a number of character storylines and opened the door for new adventures. However, in Disney's exuberance to pad its fledgling streaming service Disney Plus during the COVID pandemic, it saturated the market with hit or miss television series and introduced dozens of new heroes and villains, as well as fundamentally altered in the universe in which previous films have been set. For many casual fans, the inundation of content began to feel more like homework and entertainment than entertainment. Well, it's not that. It feels more like fast food of entertainment than, a genuinely 5-star Michelin steak of a product. Like and this is the problem. They just wanted to dump things out and pray that, oh, well, this might catch a couple million or a couple thousand views, and this might catch a couple thousand views. But again, you're telling me at a time where people were literally locked up in their house, in their own house, that this couldn't make money. That says a lot about the product. That's all I gotta say about that. Additionally, the content itself, both on the big and small screen, hasn't been up to par for audience. Yeah, people are just sick and tired of it, right? Fast food, maybe if you eat it like once or twice a week, it's fine. But after a while, it's just like, oh, well, every once in a while, I want to either cook at home or go out for a steak, at a fancy restaurant. And the problem is, Disney is the fast food, but anime is the 5-star Michelin restaurant. That's the problem. While shows like Loki, Miss Marvel, and Moon Knight scored well with critics and general reviewers, Secret Invasion flopped similarly to on the theatrical side. Spider-Man No Way Home, Guardians 3, and Black Panther's Wakanda Forever won over audience. Yeah, I mean, these were genuinely okay movies, right? I mean, I don't know, because again, it has to be incompetence, because some things land, right? Like, these movies were good, in my opinion, especially Guardians 3. Eternals, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and Thor Love and Thunder made them question the direction of the franchise. Yeah. They want to throw things and, like, they could just take the successes of these and build upon them in these, but I feel like they're just going in all sorts of directions. They think the people that watch these are going to just end up flatly watching these just because, oh, well, because they're our consumer base, we have them, we own them, and we can do whatever the fuck we want. But that's not the case. Like, it takes, and there's a saying, at least that I learned in college, like, it takes years to build a brand, but it can take seconds to destroy it. And I think Disney's gone through the whole destroying brand theme, and people are just disinterested, right? The opposite of love isn't hate. Because in order to hate a thing, like I hate where Star Wars went because I liked Star Wars at one point. Star Wars was good at one point, right? I hate it. But the opposite of love isn't hate. The opposite of love is indifference. People are not caring. I'm smacking my goddamn foot and it hurts. But anyway, I mean, that's the problem. People don't care. And, once you lose people, they'll just take their money elsewhere. They'll take their time elsewhere. I mean, the market speaks with his wallet. Right? So far, The Marvels has a soft score on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics particularly ripped the film script, calling it paper thin, charmless, and pandering in all the wrong places. I mean, I don't much care for Rotten Tomatoes, but that's sounds pretty accurate. If you thought Eternals and Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumanium were low points for limping Marvel's cinematic universe, straight in for the ride, an abject misery that is The Marvel, wrote whoever the hell this is in his review from New York Post. Yeah? Yeah? Yes. Yes. Box office and flagged on superhero content suggests the audience aren't lukewarm on superheroes. People are just sick and fucking tired of superhero shit. Like, come on. Come out with something different. I get it, it's Marvel's brand for superhero shit, but there's so many, like, villains and other characters in comics than just superheroes. And there's even other heroes that I say there's other heroes that they can go over, but I mean, they don't have a good track record of introducing, heroes that have already been in comics into the big screen. Like, for instance, apparently they cut the Punisher. At least in the comics they did. For whatever reason. Like, apparently there's a scene where his wife comes back, like he brings his wife back to life, and she was like, "Oh, well, I was gonna divorce you anyway, and I took all the money. I took all the money that they were going to give me, and I gave it to like other charities and all this." And it's like, so what does that achieve, right? You destroyed the character in the comics. What are you hoping to gain from this? Like, there's nothing to gain. People are like, oh, well, I guess it's just another shitty product. They are just sick of bad stories. After all, look at the success of, The Boys. I don't know about Gen V. As well as the animated series The Invincibles. Yeah, I do want to see this. Apparently it's just season 2 of The Invincibles. The Invincibles is fucking good. Do recommend. And also Peacemaker. Don't care about Peacemaker. What does the MCU's future look like? Not good. Box office analysts have pointed to Marvel's film's promotion as another issue for the studio. When The Marvels was first teased to the audience, it was billed as a female-led comedy. Well, comedy. That's the problem. And people don't... I mean, you can have comedy in a movie. Like, one of the best animes I've watched is called Fire Force. One of the best anime. I'd say it's in my top 10. Hell, I'd even say it's in my top 5. right? But it's one of the, and it can go from being serious as fuck to funny as fuck, and it just gels perfectly. But again, they tried doing this in the Marvel movies, and it's just the way they do it just doesn't. Unless it's like Guardians of the Galaxy, which okay, people understand. It just doesn't gel right. With his heroine swapping powers at random while they learn how to become a team. See, that's just a weird concept. I don't know where they were trying to go with that. Like it was directionless. In the most recent trailer release, Marvel sets the Marvels up as a generic action movie in which the villain is destroying the fabric of the universe with a magical MacGuffin. And yeah, see, the villain is just shitty. It's like they have a thing, and this thing is world ending, and the superheroes need to stop the thing, and they stop the thing. Shows also featured a significant number of shots from previous Marvel movies featuring characters like Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, who are no longer part of the franchise. Yeah, see, out with the old, in with the new. That's not what people want. The fact that the marketing spot for this particular movie are leaning on nostalgia and clips from Endgame represents a red flag in and of itself, Robin said. In the past, deceptive marketing was part of the appeal of the Marvel trailers. Altered footage or purposefully edited clips and shots were done to conceal spoilers or entice fans. Yeah, this is absolutely the correct thing, right? Again, you know, it's fine if the trailer is a little bit different from, say, the thing itself, because I mean, you don't want to tell people the whole thing, the whole story in the trailer. And that's also a problem. Like they tell the whole story in the trailer, and at that point, I didn't really care to see the movie at that point. For example, the trailer in Avengers Infinity War clip showed Thanos' gauntlet featured fewer Infinity Stones as to not spoil that he had collected more during the film. Yeah. But anyway, how China is changing Hollywood. China's not changing shit. Like, again, uh, I see this all the time. Like in movies, in say in TV shows and in movies catered to the West, you have all this gay representation or lesbian representation, and that's fine. The minute it hit China, they changed that shit because they want to sell their product in China, and China does not want that. So the minute they give it to China, they change that. I think they change any gay and lesbian representation characters to like, I don't know, the CCP supporting characters. Like, yeah, that's absolutely what they're not changing. China's not changing shit. They put the movie on. The movie has to go through the Chinese censors, and they'd be like, take that out, take that out, take that out, and take that out. Then they send it to the. I'm interested to see what they say. There's still some good news, at least. The ComScore. I ain't even gonna try to reason it. Marvel is it competing against Dune Part 2? Good. Which left the calendar in favor of a 2004 release. And will have plenty of premium movie screens to play in. Those showing. Which which typically cost more than the traditional screenings could pay the film's box office. I kind of bored of. I don't care about all this. But what the fuck? But anyway, yeah, that's all I gotta say. I'm not surprised this movie sucked. I seen it. The writing was on the wall, but it's like they're incapable of reading the wall. So they want to tear the wall down and be like, oh, you said there's a wall, or there's something wrong with you. you're an idiot, and they gaslight you. So anyway, have fun.